All right, so in this video, I'm going to show how you can derive the national savings and investment identity from two other equations, right? So the first equation that we use for deriving this identity, the national savings and investment identity, is we use the fact that GDP is equal to the GDP spending equation, right? GDP is equal to consumption spending plus investment spending plus government spending plus exports minus imports, right? And then the other equation that we can use to derive this identity is the definition for private savings, right? So private savings, it's disposable income. Disposable income is income after taxes, which is GDP minus tax revenue, right? So the tax revenue that the government brings in, subtract that from income, GDP, and that gives you disposable income. And then to find savings, we subtract off consumption spending from that. So private savings equals GDP minus T minus C, right? Minus tax revenue and minus consumption spending, right? So looking at these two equations, the way I like to go about from here is to solve for GDP in this second equation, the definition for private savings, right? So using this equation, well, you can just rearrange things algebraically, right? This implies that GDP is actually equal to private savings plus tax revenue plus consumption spending, right? Okay, so now we have two different expressions that are both equal to GDP, right? So they're both equal to GDP. That means that we can set them equal to each other, and that's what I do in red down here, right? So I take the fact that GDP is private savings plus tax revenue plus consumption, private savings plus tax revenue plus consumption. That must be equal to this expression up here on the right-hand side of this equation, right? So must be equal to consumption plus investment spending plus government spending plus exports minus imports, right? Okay, and so right off the bat, especially since they're right next to each other, you can see that we can cancel the consumption on both sides of the equation, right? Those cancel. And so we'll keep savings on this side of the equation. We like to put the deficit over on the left-hand side with savings because the deficit is also equal, the trade deficit is also equal to the net supply of financial capital from abroad, and together with savings, that represents the supply of financial capital, right? Total supply of financial capital. So we add M and subtract X from both sides, right? And which means that we're left with I plus G, and then we subtract T from both sides, right? And of course, the right-hand side, this is essentially usually the demand for financial capital, right? From firms engaging in investment spending and from the government in case they are running a budget deficit, right? G minus T. So on the right-hand side of the national savings and investment identity, we have on the left-hand side, we have private savings and the net supply of financial capital from abroad. That represents the supply of financial capital, right? Both of these. And we set it, and it's equal to the demand for financial capital, which comes from firms engaging in investment spending and from governments in case they are running a budget deficit, right? So that's one way to arrive at the national savings and investment identity from these two equations, right? The GDP equals spending equation and the definition for private savings. All right, so we're done, and thank you for watching.